Welcome to Breaking Initiative. Don't forget to give us a like, give us a ba-ding, subscribe, ring the doorbell, which is also ba-ding. I don't know you know all the other
don't
videos
ring my
that
doorbell.
do that.
That's weird.
Don't ring my doorbell. Also, guys, we are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. Rate us there. I think that's what you do. Yeah. My name is Brett.
And I'm Rob. This is the show where we break down our own tips and tricks to help you get the most out of your tabletop games. We share some of our favorite tools from around the community, discuss our past experiences, as well as new things currently happening with the hobby. And we continue our show in a long-running series of Brett having good audio quality and, me having whatever I got lying around my house that will record audio. Brett, what are we going to talk about today?
Hey, man, $12, a $12 microphone gets you a long way.
Yeah.
Amazon, bro. We are going to be talking about minis. This one's actually really big, but it's minis. It's a big mini. That's an oxymoron.
Minis?
Minis. Yeah. Yeah. So we're talking about miniatures, painting them, using them,
Right.
buying pre-painted, not buying at all, just going on certain websites.
Specifically, why should somebody use miniatures? Is a great place to start. We're talking about, if you didn't catch it from our intro, in the context of tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, and any other system that uses like a map-based, like Warhammer. If you even just want to go straight up into the warfare type war games on tabletop. It's technically tabletop games still, but we're more proficient with like just the straight up role playing games where we're mostly role playing.
Yeah.
But Brett, what are your thoughts on using miniatures?
I like the excuse whenever I get to use them.
They're cool.
That's pretty much.
They're really cool. That's why I was so excited about this video.
Yeah, they're really cool, and I have all different kinds of ones. I have these dice ones. Like this guy's a D8, and he's like a ranger.
When are you gonna use that?
I have no idea. Here's a D12, and he's like a wizard, and he actually came with a smaller one. I think it's to mimic like some wizard spells that use D12s. Here's a bard that uses D6s. A rogue that uses like daggers.
Oh,
so
inspiration
it's like a
die
D4.
for the D6, right? Isn't that a D6 inspiration?
Bardic inspiration.
Yeah, Bardic
it starts.
you're right. It
starts
does
at
increase
a
and
D6.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
The D4 for the
increase,
dagger, because rogues use daggers. Maybe.
I love the idea of minis. I love when I get to use them. It probably is. It's a really good feeling, other than like really cool role play happening at the table. Right. Is whenever you have minis and you use them and like, oh, this is cool. It also was a lot of fun when you have a campaign you're about to play in, and everybody was like, because we're all adults and we have a little bit of money. We're like, all right, I'm gonna go on a certain website. I'm gonna make myself a mini, and I have my special mini that I'm going to bring to the table every week when we go play. And before COVID, it was great. We did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my favorite things that I do and that I have done, I will go to thrift stores and I'll look up weird board games and just see what's inside. And there was like this dinosaur Jurassic, I don't know if it was like whatever. You guys could see that?
Right,
Can you guys see? Hold on. You could see it. What? I don't know. It's I don't know if it showed up or not.
Right.
It didn't focus.
You can
but
you
it doesn't
really
matter.
take anything and make it a miniature. Like here's just a random snake toy I found, and I've just put a little piece of clear plastic there, hold him up in some dramatic pose. Now he's a giant constrictor snake.
A giant anaconda. Yeah. Inside that same dinosaur one was this guy too,
Hell yeah, that's awesome. The original miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons by Gary Gygax himself. He would take little random toys he found at bins of toys and things, and he would just come up with ideas for that, and that has been spoken into the existence of Dungeons and Dragons lore as things like as famous as the Rust Monster was literally just a dumb little plastic toy like this. He's stuck on a base, stuck in like the players are like, I have no idea what the hell this is. Suddenly it starts eating their equipment, and it's the most terrifying thing they've ever encountered.
Yeah, right. I did at one point buy a fleet of these, and they all come with a stand. Here's another one on a stand. I bought a fleet of these Aarakocra that are on this thing. You know, that was kind of expensive, but that was also kind of cool.
I used to go to stores to find miniatures, but now you can just go to you can just go on Amazon and like literally just type in D&D miniatures and you'll find all sorts of stuff. Some stuff is discontinued, like this gargantuan sized Kraken one. This one's they don't even make them pre-painted anymore. But they
that's really cool.
Or this one that came unpainted. It's a white dragon. That even though it came the white plastic, I decided to paint it just to get the detail. You can see the blue. I love painting them. Anyway, I really have to digress, or else this is just going to turn into an episode of me showing off a bunch of fun. Hey, that's what this is all about. You got roped in. You're going to listen to us brag about miniatures.
Hey, I painted this face spider. I did it. I did that one. I did paint this one.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's a good job.
Yeah, no, I did.
That one actually looked legit. I don't know if it's a terrible audio quality on our video feed
for sure. Rob has far more experience in painting, and he helped me with a few tips. So there's a few things where I'm like, that came out good, and there's a few things where I'm like, I cannot figure out this calculus problem.
Right. So we skipped over a really important question.
Yeah, sorry.
No. We got all giddy and stuff showing off the miniatures. Everyone's turned off the video by now because they're like, these fucking losers are just showing us a bunch of miniatures. You know, we're gonna go watch Dungeon Dudes where they actually talk about stuff. Anyway.
You can't talk about another channel on our channel unless it's like the big channel.
So
No,
that's what you got to do, man. You gotta call them out, and then No, anyway.
Right.
The why would you use miniatures? So you can actually not use miniatures. I originally started Dungeons and Dragons not using miniatures.
Theater of the mind.
Theater of the mind, yes. So what you would do is you'd say the DM would actually keep, almost like a chess player that's like memorizing the moves in chess in their head. They're telling the players, you're starting at the south door, and there's goblins towards the north, and then in the middle of combat you'll say a skeleton came in through the east passageway, and so now there's 3 play areas. Like this is all sort of like you don't actually spell this out for them, but you have to almost summarize everything. Like there's these areas where enemies and players are clustered. You're over at the enemies area where they were. They're shooting arrows at you or hitting you directly. There's new wandering monsters that have come into the foray. It's the fray rather. It's a lot of work for the DM. It encourages you to keep the combat smaller, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, so that they're quicker and you're not keeping track of stuff for too long. You get to a boss fight, you're encouraged to not make too many adds, as I call them, additional smaller like minions or monsters that keep coming in.
Yeah. More to keep track of in your head.
Yeah. I mean, you're basically just working off of an initiative list and then your own words. Speaking the play area into existence in everyone's minds.
Yeah, totally.
But that's hard.
And it is a lot of fun because we, I'll let you guys know, for Strahd and when we're playing, we actually got into Roll20 after COVID. For a while, we were doing like an extra camera to shoot like a part of a table. Then eventually, we just all, one of us started signing up for Roll20, and it's been working fine.
We were doing that for an uncomfortable amount of time with just a camera with just laggy, horrible, artifacting camera quality. Just like, is that lump of black my character, or is that a monster? Yeah, it was bad. I'm glad we got out of that junky mess. But now we got through it and it was fine, and I love the combat all the way. It's just now Roll20 is way better than that. We just wanted to keep using our miniatures. That was why we did it.
I know. And the thing is, I'm still looking forward to going back in person, and I want to keep using our miniatures. Now the thing is, though, it's all now you're gonna like what's gonna happen now, because we go back in person, like it now is going to take even more time for the DM to possibly set up these things or to keep these things hidden. in some ways. And in a weird way, when it goes back in person and it's out of Roll20, it kind of goes more on the theater of the mind. You know,
yeah.
it could, because when you go back to a mat, it's like you kind of just have your designated areas where, all right, I'm pulling out the battle mat, and here's what we're doing. Everything else is theater of the mind. On Roll20, you pretty much create and go everywhere, and I literally move my marker everywhere that I want to go. Mm-hmm. Now, I say that we're on Roll20, and we've been in Roll20 ever since we've been in this gigantic temple, and we've been in there for a year, and so we just now we're
Not
getting out of
in-game,
it.
out of game.
So I don't know. Yes, correct. Out of game, we've been in there for a year, and we're just now getting out of it. So we don't know what our DM's going to do. It's like, oh, walking back through the woods, is it literally going to be every single step, or is it going to be just one village at a time? Is that all completely built out? And so I don't know how it's going to go. I do hope we eventually get back in person. I also know that it's more time, but I really like using minis. It's probably one of my favorite parts. And they're minis, and they're collectibles, and they're not toys.
Yeah.
All right. Whenever I play with new people, and they take them like, oh, I go over here and do and then bam, 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 and then I do like, no.
It's the worst.
No.
There's a fine line. I always say this is a fine line between playing Dungeons and Dragons and a bunch of grown men sitting around a table playing with little toys. And that's when you start.
Not what we're doing.
When you start holding the miniature and shaking it and like making it hit the other guys, then it's like you have to take a step back and be like, dude, I am 33 years old. What is going on?
I am an adult, and those are collectibles, or I spent time painting those things. Yeah. This is a strategy game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not meaning to mock anybody.
I bought a
that's just my
3D printer.
Oh, that's why I was showing up this guy. Rob 3D printed this guy for me. This is not going to come to focus.
It will never be quite as good as the ones that are modeled from like the professionals, but you can just make an unlimited number of them. You want to run something that has a bunch of Modrons in it, for combat? You're not going to find a lot of Modrons except for the ones you get. They're like $5 to $10 each. You want to run a battle with like 100 Modrons to rip everybody apart? You got to make that yourself.
Yep. No, here's the thing about minis, though. Like, you're always looking at them at the table roughly, 2 feet away. Mm-hmm. You're not doing this every time whenever you're fighting. You know what I mean? And gosh, I missed that mark. Don't get me wrong. If you're good at painting, like, and you have the technique, and like you do a really good job, go all
Warhammer.
in. But I don't want the person that's not good at painting, and they're okay, or they could figure it out, or they could go look up some tips.
Right. And
it's like, don't be discouraged, because you're not going to be looking at it that close, or nobody's going to be looking at it that close the whole time anyways. It's like a billboard. I'm a photographer whenever I do things, and it actually is happening again. Anyways, moving on. But a billboard resolution is actually really crappy, because it's your sight to the marker. It's 50 yards away. It's 100 and something feet. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. So the resolution can be really slow, but because you're looking at it from so far away, it can be a bad resolution. But it looks great from driving or in a car because you're super far away. So think of it in the same way with painting your minis. If you're good at painting, do a great job. Awesome. If you're not great, paint them. Paint them anyways and have fun.
I'd paint my miniatures, and I'd be like, man, this looks awesome. I can't believe I did this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I want to show all of my friends, and I get really close up, and I take a picture, and then it's like, you're not actually seeing it, and we have two different cameras going on here, but
yes.
Maybe I won't send that to my friends.
Right.
A little janky.
Hey, Rob, really quick. What about so you guys are deciding to go into going into minis? What kind of paints would you do? Do you do painting or do you do pre-painting? Because I know there's a website that does the pre-painting now.
Pre-painting? Wait, what are you talking about? What's that? Pre-painting? Oh, you mean they'll actually just paint it for you and send it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's the digital painting ones too.
Oh yeah, okay. And there's some of them that will even like Hero Forge now will actually like 3D print it with the colored like plastic.
Yes,
which is insane.
Yes.
I haven't even seen that yet, like in person, but I'll probably do that with my next character. Like
that's for me. Like if I'm a DM, I'm not going to use that. But if I'm going to play in a campaign that I plan on playing for a while, I'm like, all right, I'll drop the $35 whatever dollars because it's a one-time thing. But I'm going to use it a bunch. This will be cool, until he dies. Then that sucks.
Well, then you get to keep him as a memory, and then $35, $70. It's just you just sit there and cry about it.
So are you a bigger fan of painting, or would you possibly dive into pre-painted?
I'll buy the ones that are painted, the official painted ones, over me painstakingly taking the time to paint it any day. But if I can find a good deal on a dragon, because you can't get a pre-painted dragon from the official Wizards of the Coast one for like under $100 in some cases, depending on the size of it.
Right.
But I used to have the whole icon set, and I sold it. And then you got me into Dungeons and Dragons, dude. I had the whole iconic dragon, like
I didn't know that was gonna come up.
Size.
I didn't know.
Fuck. I'm so mad about that. Not that you got me back into D&D, but that I sold it, thinking my wife was like, "Oh, we need to buy diapers for the kids, and you've got all these little things, and you said they're valuable." I'm like, "Damn right, it's valuable."
I'm gonna prove you right.
Yeah.
Look how much I got for them.
Yeah, sold them all for like $700, but it was a lot of miniatures. It was like it had to be like 1,000 miniatures, the whole collection. God.
They're worth more than $1 a piece.
Painting miniatures. I'm sorry. That was one of my patented tangents.
So here's one of the things. If you're a beginner, you can easily go. If you're going to dive into painting, we'll talk about this for a second. You can easily go to the comic book store and get their things. The thing is, that stuff's expensive.
Yes.
And you don't have to do that. Look, like Walmart, 50 cents. Like,
yes. I have that same brand, acrylic paint. Yeah.
Yeah. Just go to Walmart for 50 cents. All the things that I've painted, they relatively hold up. They're fine. They don't have the exact glisten always. Some of them are okay. Some of them it's ideal. Sometimes you don't want the glisten. Sometimes you want the muted, matted look.
Right.
So, you find tricks and things. So if you're just getting into it, I wouldn't go full-fledged unless you're like, oh, I love this. And because it is therapeutic to paint. It is therapeutic to do those things. So if you really want to dive into it, I would say start slow.
Right.
Don't go to the comic book store and say, I need your painting kit, and go with that.
I'll tell you what you do. Don't sign up for some class. Don't and also don't buy a ridiculously expensive miniature as your first one. Like, here's what you do. You can get these like box sets of like Warhammer miniatures. They're like used ones. You can get them super cheap. Or the Magic the Gathering board game is one that I got, where like it just comes with a bunch of actual miniatures. Do I have an example of one? Here's one right here. I used a knife to carefully cut off the feet, put it on a base that I bought for like a pack of them, like I think it was like a pack of 20 of them for like $7.
Right, yeah.
And I colored it. What do? Is you just color it all black, and then you lightly kind of like dry brush, like get your brush really dry after getting a color on it. You just gently brush on it. The black kind of sticks in the cracks. You're brushing over the big frame, so it almost looks like a more detail all over it. It's pretty good. Experiment with colors. Getting some throwaway cheap miniatures to start off on is always preferable. Just be sure you get the whole thing covered in black first.
If you're a brand new player, okay? If you're a brand new player, most likely a DM or another player has something that can help you out until you decide you want to go to your comic book store, go to your wall of minis, and then it's like $4.99 and figure, all right, well I'm a Tabaxi Rogue. Boom, here's a Tabaxi Rogue. All right, cool. Close enough. Oh, they don't have the male. I want all I have is the female. Listen, she, he, it looks pretty much the same.
Right.
And then you could, and then that's fun. That, like, when I first was in my first few campaigns, that was like a lot of fun to find my minis. Oh, this is the one. I've bought this. I think this is a Pathfinder mini. I bought this twice. And I paid a kid $20 to paint it for me because I had nothing. And I just was playing. I wasn't a DM. He never gave it back to me, and he just kept it. Actually, scratch that. I didn't lose the $20. I bought this and I gave it to him, and I said, "Hey, can you paint this for me?" And this was, I think, $8. And then whenever you give it to me, I'll give you $20. Mm-hmm. So he just, I think I talked to somebody later on, and like it wound up being where he moved away. I'm like, didn't reach out. You just want to just take it. So then I had to buy it again because this is a really cool looking ranger, kind of elf ranger cloaked guy. He just looks, really badass. I bought it again, and then Rob painted this for me before I really got into any of this stuff.
Right. And I'm sure the corners are starting to chip off by now because it's metal and he's been rattling around in some box. Yeah.
Who cares?
Cool. Exactly. Who cares? And that's the most important part. Who cares? I went a long time just taking little pieces of paper and folding them into triangles. I tried to find some before this video. I think they're in the back of some closet somewhere. You remember that?
I remember those. That was you would print out a face and then fold the piece of paper and put it on like a penny or a nickel.
On my work printer, no less. So I wouldn't even spend a dime. I'd print out and tape together pieces of paper for like battle maps, and I would build stuff in Photoshop. Because and then I'd pop it in Word so it fits on the page, cut it out. I went to so much trouble to not spend any money, but I didn't spend any money. And you can kind of fold it in a triangle kind of shape where you put the picture on both sides of it. Right. Flat piece of paper, and it connects to the bottom.
Only money you spent on was the penny you would tape them to.
Oh, yeah, and I would use a penny. That's right. Each of them cost a penny because I'd take a penny and I'd tape it on the inside of that little triangle so it would weight it down. And I'd only do that for the ones I cared about, like players and stuff. I wouldn't even bother with like the goblins and the whatever. But you can do miniatures without all of this crazy nonsense we were talking about. It's useful to just keep track when you're playing in person of where everybody is, or else everybody gets lost if the battle gets too interesting, crazy. Frankly. Like, you can have a simple battle and get away with it, but if it's an interesting battle where a lot of stuff is moving parts, you're going to get lost if you don't have some sort of frame of reference.
The stretch is 3 people, I think. If you're going to do theater of the mind, like, you got up to maybe 3 people to where it's not going to seem just too much. Once you go to 4 people and over, I would say you want to get minis so people know where they're at and what's happening, because there's a lot of chaos happening. I wanted to also talk about random stuff as well. I can't remember where I got this mouse thing from. It's a mouse.
Just a big old mouse.
It's a big old mouse. I was at like a friend's house or something, and they were like it was like, I feel like it was a part of a decoration,
right?
And they were gonna like get rid of it, and I was like, no, can I take that? And so now I have like these giant mouse.
Exactly. And I'm like, I have something like that too. I'm sure. Things. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, because I love to just repurpose random crap I find. Oh my god! I found one of my paper things. This is a treasure chest that I made. It literally opens and stuff. This is a little paper craft treasure chest.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then
we're just going back to showing off our toys again.
I'm sorry.
I will mention one more thing though. What's the name? HeroClix. Like it's HeroClix or whatever.
Yes.
But here's like this staff dude.
Be careful, they don't fit on a 5 foot. I'm sorry, 5 foot. 1 inch by 1 inch.
They don't. But you would have to. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. You would have to. You need to cut it. But
just be careful.
But that's already done and painted, and those are on sale. Those they're either on sale or super expensive now because the game doesn't exist.
I needed a Loki miniature, and when you know it, Loki exists in HeroClix.
Right.
Just
cut
him right off the base. Good old classic
your Norse thing.
Marvel Loki. They loved it. What was I gonna say? Oh, and maybe you're a combination of lazy and cheap. And you are terrible at describing stuff. Don't fret. You're not lost. you can just nobody talks about this. This is so simple. You can just use a chess set, a whole chess set. You have everything you need with a chess set, and if something's bigger, like, so each person, like, you pick white, right? Let's say your party's the good guys, so you everyone can pick a white piece, and all the enemies are black. Pawns are white pawns are your side NPCs that might be helping you, and you'll say who's who. All the black ones would be like, it's just so you can differentiate who the enemies are and not. It'd be cool, like, fine, you don't look like a horse, but you just know that the knight piece is you. And it kind of is cool. It almost fits thematically. Like, which piece thematically speaks to me? I'm the big tough guy, so I'll pick the rook. I'm the healer. I'll pick the bishop. I'm the king because I'm a jerk who thinks I'm the leader of the party. Whatever.
Right.
It works. And it not only works, it works phenomenally. And it will even fit in a 5x5 foot grid. Let's say you got a dragon. Just cut out a circle of paper and write the word dragon. You're done.
Done.
You're done.
Yeah.
You don't have to be fancy if you've got a great campaign going on and you just don't want to lose track of combat.
Yeah. Yeah. Rob, that was a great tip. You've never told me that.
I know. It's because I love spending thousands of dollars on miniatures so much. Look at this beholder. That's why I don't use chess pieces, Brett. This beholder kicks ass. Look at that.
It's very true. What's your best mini? What would you say you have right now as your best mini? Do you have it with you?
Oh my god. I got things that are best for different reasons. Best paint job. Best because it's coolest. Like how reflective the eye is. It's like a 3-dimensional eye on this beholder. Like if you hold it in the right light.
Did you paint it?
I painted this one, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
I would probably say my best paint job that I'm the most proud of is this Dragonborn, and it has like this purple flame that I put there, and it still roughly stayed translucent whenever
difficult.
I painted it.
Very difficult.
And that was very difficult, and I was like, I always want to use him, but I'm like, I actually don't really like the Dragonborns. I mean, now I might because I looking into the Fizzban book,
Yeah.
But he's probably my most impressive that like I did.
I have some that I like because they're oh my god, no. Scratch everything. My favorite miniature. I built this. I don't know how. I think half of it I might have been drunk. But there's definitely a goblin chef in the starter set at some point in one of the first. It's in the second dungeon. You didn't even get to it. I've never used it. I don't even want to show you, but I will just for the show. It is a goblin chef. It says cook and pillage on his little apron. He's medium sized because he's just so fat. And I was gonna play him like Gordon Ramsay, sort of like he's got a meat cleaver for a weapon and a big old wooden ladle in the other hand. Dude, I love this thing. I've never used it, and I cannot wait. It's a combination. This was one of those rhino guys from the Magic the Gathering set, and I literally took a knife and cut its face into the shape of a goblin. This is paper mache. I found the spoon is paper mache. I found a cleaver from Warhammer. It's like I went nuts with this, and I never got to use it.
That is so extra.
I know,
but also extremely impressive. Like whenever you pull that thing out, and I'm like, nope, just nope. I got nothing. I got nothing with that. But also really cool. That's really cool. All right, Rob. We geeked out enough.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll do like a painting episode of one day or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to do some tips and things like that. All right. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, thank you. Guys, if you like our videos, actually also like them, but also if you enjoy them, support the channel, subscribe. If you're catching us on podcasts, save us as a podcast, you know what I mean? Like save us on whatever podcast thing you're on so you keep getting our notifications and whenever we come live and all these kind of things. And we appreciate you. All right. My name's Brett. Goodbye. And I kept hitting the microphone.
Right.